The internet knows what's best. The internet knows what should go inside your engine, and the internet can spec it all out. Never works out well, never. It's all on us. We do the machining, we do the install, we do the tuning, we do everything from A to Z. If everything is done underneath the same roof, there can't be a finger pointing game. If this engine was built by somebody else, we did the install, and then Joe Schmo did the tuning, that's already 3 hands in the pot. And it's like, okay, well, you know, we could blame the engine builder could blame the tuner could blame the installer, and then at the end of the day, the customer is the one who's out of money and time. And at the end of the day, our engines are spec'd out and built to what you're trying to achieve, and it's not just some cookie cutter bullshit.
For like drifting suspension in the front and stuff, but like I just wanted the ability to turn if I needed
On
to.
a dime.
Yeah.
You'll be able to.
Yeah.
Things are always better the second time around, right, babe? So we're going to discuss what happened with this?
Our fault, it's always our fault.
It's always
That's
our
what the internet is going to say. But nonetheless, we don't build engines with customer supplied parts. We're pretty strict on that. And the reason behind that is, 1, the wrong parts could be purchased. 2, they could be old stock. 3, it could be shit that we wouldn't even recommend using, or all of the above. In this case, when Ryan wanted us to build the engine, he had all the parts. We went through all the stuff that he had, said no to the stuff that we wouldn't install, and accepted, you know, a small number of things. I think we accepted his choice of cams, cam gears, and valve spring. The rotating assembly was all on us. You know, all the gaskets and everything else was all on us. So, got the engine machined, put together, put it in the car, and it's not unusual for a fresh engine to smoke or burn a little bit of oil on initial startup, just because when assembling the engine you're using a lot of assembly lube and or braking oil around the rings and in the chamber, so all that stuff's got to get burnt out. Well, after about a minute or two of running, it continued to smoke, which started to kind of, you know, raise a concern. So I continued with our engine braking process, did an oil change, the oil looked great, ran the engine a little bit more, and the smoking essentially did not get better. We did a compression test and cylinder leak down test once everything was seated. That came out good. We put a camera in the chambers, everything looked good. And at that point, none of the plugs were coming out wet with oil. None of the pistons looked like they were wet with oil. So there's only a limited amount of places that oil can come from for the engine to be consuming it or burning it. We didn't know if maybe the turbo would be leaking through the exhaust housing, which would be very unusual. A couple other things, but it got to the point where it's like, I'm just gonna pull the motor, tear it down. We're gonna kind of see what's going on and go from there. So we pulled the engine, pulled the head off. Everything in the bottom end looked great. When we started to inspect the cylinder head, we noticed that there was an issue with the valve stem seals. Valve stem seals was also one of the things that we opted to keep on his list of supplied parts. Even though it was a 7mm diameter valve stem seal on the exhaust side, for whatever reason, something was not right with the design on the tip of it, to where when they were being installed, they were kind of ovaling and not sealing on the valve properly. So essentially, we were leaking oil down the valve, out the valve stem seals, down the valve guides on the exhaust side, and that's why it was smoking and burning oil. And it would only do it and burn oil on like initial throttle tip in. You know, idle, cruise, whatever, it was fine. But I guess once you tipped in on the throttle and got some load under it, we noticed a puff of blue smoke. Got the head back to the machine shop.
Did it even slide?
No.
It looked like a regular stop though.
Yeah.
It looked like you were trying to stop.
There's no stop. We got the right valve stem seals put on it, got it all put back together, and here we are getting ready to put it back in. In situations like this, they are unfortunate. This isn't our first time having to open up an engine that we freshly built or deal with a situation like this, which is why we're very strict on not using customer supplied parts. In a situation where something is not right with the engine, or we feel that something's not right on the engine, we just immediately pull it out, tear it down, and kind of inspect and see what's going on. If we were to build this entire engine with customer supplied parts and something was not right, it's kind of like, well, customer, what would you like us to do? Unfortunately, because we built the engine with your parts, we would then have to charge you additional labor to kind of inspect and strip down and see what's going on. But you kind of get into like seeing an issue in that because it's hard to charge somebody for that thing. So if we're strict upon whether or not we decide to use customer supplied parts, it's all on us. We do the machining, we do the install, we do the tuning, we do everything from A to Z. And if anything is not right, we're taking full responsibility of the situation. We are figuring out what's going on, and there's no headaches involved in that. The customer dealing with this headache, it's like, it avoids all of that. A simple way to get that sort of treatment is to simply just, whoever is doing your build, use the parts supplied by them.
We accepted the parts, so it is like we chose the parts at this point.
It was a part that we would have been
used.
okay or used in choosing, so that's the only reason why we accepted it. It sucks, it's unfortunate, but if everything is done underneath the same roof, there can't be a finger pointing game. If this engine was built by somebody else, we did the install, and then Joe Schmo did the tuning, that's already three hands in the pot. And it's like, okay, well, you know, we could blame the engine builder could blame the tuner could blame the installer, and then at the end of the day, the customer is the one who's out of money and time. Because then the customer's got to pay, you know, it turns into a whole shit show.
Yeah, because there's only one person to point fingers at then. And we, like I said,
It's all our fault. You know, at the end of the day, our engines are spec'd out and built to what you're trying to achieve, and it's not just some cookie cutter bullshit. Experience plays a big role in this. You know, using well-known, good quality parts, and any decent engine builder will tell you that.
But yeah, I mean, now we're doing this again, round 2. Jose put us all together the first time, so now Edgar's gonna help to get it done.
So, fun stuff.
Jose did a great job, by the way. The first time, nothing was his fault. No, I said that. I said, like, it was great. It was perfect. It was just the valve sub seals. SR God.
You know, it's funny because I think it was Jada. He said, did you put that motor together? I said, motherfucker, I ain't seen the inside of that engine since it got here.
Don't you drag me in all this shit. That's him. That's him. They start putting it on you.
Yeah.
Oh, Jose did it.
Yeah, exactly. It's Jose's fault.
It's Jose's fault. All right. Well, thank you guys for giving me some of that information. We'll be back with Ryan when this thing is back in, and hopefully starting with no smoke.
It'll be running. Hopefully, it's running at the end of today. And
oh yeah, that's right. Happier. Stop smoking. All the old schmutz out.
Just clear it up now.
And Ryan will be none the wiser. No, just kidding. He doesn't know yet, but we will tell him.
Yeah. I mean, we'll explore.
We always tell
but
him.
it's like we will figure it out, fix the problem, get it all back together, you know, in no time, and then I'll explain. So then there's no worry on his end. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, there was a small issue, you know, explain the issue, whatever. We fixed it. It's all good. It's kind of like the reassurance of we're going to figure out what's going on. We're going to take care of it. We're going to fix it. We're going to get it. Like at the end of the day, anything is fixable.
Yeah.
You know, so. And we want our customers to know that. Some people get really in their feelings about something not being right or something broken. And it's like, I understand it's money, but anything is fixable. You don't have to feel like you're at a complete loss. It's not like, oh, the engine's burning oil, the car's totaled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of Garrett's on here anyway? This is a little John.
G25 660.
We got the. What kind of manifold is this?
Massworks. It's a Massworks turbo kit.
Oh, okay.
It's a G25 660, and I think a Turbo Smart 45mm or Tile 44mm wastegate.
How much power do you think this is going to make? 5? 6?
I think you only went like 400 or 500, not anything crazy.
No, you're not used to being restricted in your power.
I mean, it's a small turbo. It'll light up quick, be fun on the street, and it'll do what he wants.
Yeah. Cool. All right, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Juices.
Deuces. This came together nice.
Yeah.
Much happier this time, right?
Oh yeah. No more smoke.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you, what do you think this is going to do? I was talking to Ryan about it before, and I was saying on ethanol, he said it's a G25
660. I would expect somewhere around maybe mid 400s on 93, and then well over 5 on ethanol.
Yeah, I said 7. I guess I'm way off.
Yeah.
But
I think with it low down like that, with the D25, with the easy spool, it's gonna make it way more fun to drive. And like for the speed that you're gonna go on relative roads, it's gonna keep you within the legal limits and have fun.
Like 13, 14 miles.
13, 14 pounds wastegate,
Yeah.
330 on pump gas. Yeah, she don't like the pump. Right? Right.
What I set up the car for is really for like either doing like going around circuits or to go through like long roadways that are winding.
You have that, what kind of suspension?
So it's all GK Tech stuff for the suspension stuff, and then I have KW Club Sport 3 coilovers in it.
Yeah.
So
You sit nice and low and your wheels go like
Yeah.
a jillion
yeah, like
degrees.
74 degrees to a direction. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can almost turn the wheels parallel.
It's really wild when you see it.
For like drifting suspension in the front and stuff, but like I just wanted the ability to turn if I needed
On
to.
a dime.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, around there.
like 22.
22. You can go 25?
We'll see.
Okay. Almost there. Hey now, how many PSIs is that? 26? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if there's ever a chance that somebody who's worth a damn in the work and the service they offer can do it all under one roof and it eliminates multiple hands in the pot, that's always a plus.
Sound, power, any future plans, how the car is going to be driven, what application, like if you're racing it, if you're drifting it. These are all these questions are asked to design the perfect setup for you. I know a lot of people like to buy their own parts and they think that they're doing themselves a solid with engine components,
with engine
especially.
components, and the stuff's old, it becomes obsolete.
Or wears.
You know, you keep it in an area where it's not dry and clean, and then next thing you know, your stuff is flash rusting.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's a whole combination of in between.
It's like anal beads.
He's got fucking marbles in the fuel lines.
Yeah, why does that look like that?
I don't know.
And when you buy it through us, if there is a problem, we are the ones who have to deal with the manufacturer and you don't have to have any issue with it. That's why we like to keep everything in-house, because we try to eliminate any problems.
You know, generic, cheap, off-the-shelf components, and think that they can just go to any Joe Schmo machine shop, they're gonna machine it, and I'm gonna assemble it in my backyard, and then everything's gonna be all fine and dandy. And you know, maybe 1 out of 100 are, who knows? But as many things as projects we deal with, it usually doesn't work out very well. Never.
No, I ain't gonna miss this opportunity.
That shit was ass. Let's throw the weight of that. Because I don't want to smack the bitch.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna have to throw the weight today.
Throw the weight, yeah. You're fine. The wind is blowing. Oh, Jesus.
Hold on. I need a little bit more rope on my end. Alright.
All right, now launch it.
Now just take off really
Yeah.
Stay right here.
Going 95 like the rest of the motherfuckers.
Oh, wait, though. Maybe go like somewhere where you don't want the snow to sit.
The other way. Now all this shit's on the windshield.
Did it even slide?
No.
It looked like a regular stop though.
Yeah.
It looked like you were trying to
Bitch,
stop.
no stop.
That's pretty good.
All the shit in the back gonna beat me in the windshield.
So now that shit's loose as we come up on the highway.
I'll stick the boom up there and just try to drag it across.
You want a longer pole? Or a ladder?